If you're anything like me, you love an underdog story. You love hearing about the little guy coming out of nowhere. Nothing but grit, determination, and a love of the game, showing everyone what it means to really enjoy what you're doing, and to go up against the biggest dogs in the industry and showing them how it's done. For one of those today, I'm going to bring to you Arma Hobbies out of Poland. These guys are one of my favorites in the past few years in the modeling world. A newcomer that really has everything that I've been hoping to see. And this is the first review I'm going to give to you on Model Reviews by Hans. Yay, I got it. Okay. Now I'm going to start a review. Okay. So I'm really happy to be giving you guys the first review here with Arma Hobbies out of Poland. This is a company I kind of stumbled across by accident, or I think it was on Twitter or something like that, where I saw a couple of their kits, checked out their website, ordered some paints, and built it, started ordering more right away. This is going to be one of my go-to companies going forward for a lot of the subjects that they have. Now, like I think I might have mentioned in the intro, these guys are out of Poland, established around 2013 or so with a few very small crew, but industry veterans from the Eastern European modeling industry. And I apologize to you gentlemen, I'm not going to try to insult you by pronouncing your names. I am very bad at pronouncing Polish words. I'll be honest, so I'm not going to try to butcher your names. I'll put them in underneath so people can read them, but this review is going to be totally complimentary for these kits, so don't worry about that too much. Anyway, what these guys offer is essentially exclusively an aircraft lineup, 1/72nd, 1/48th scale, and a lot of really oddball early war type of uncommon type of releases. Like for instance, one of the kits I have here that I'm going to be building in the near future, and I'll show you a little more detail, is a Sea Hurricane. Who the hell is going to build a kit of a Sea Hurricane? You're never going to see that from Tamiya. Tamiya is going to give you, honestly, I don't think they do any Hurricanes with Tamiya. But these guys, they have like 4 or 5 at this point for Hurricane offerings. Just yesterday, before I did this review, I saw some interesting posts on a photo recon version of a Hurricane. So that's one of the other things that they do is they don't just take a kit and release it once. They're going to start releasing subsequent kits of additional variants, like the P39s. There's 3 or 4 different boxings of this. Their PZL series, there's a few boxings of that. And the other nice thing too is that, I mean, while the 1/72nd scale is a more extensive lineup, their 1/48th also pretty much piggybacks onto what their 1/72nd is doing. So there's a pretty good chance if you like the bigger scale, if it's in the 1/72, you're going to see it in the 1/48. If they have it in the 1/48, but you're a 1/72nd guy, they're definitely going to have it. You can tell that the fairly modern design work. Everything looks to be CAD designed. Really nice detail on it. Now, one of the first things you're going to notice here with their kits is packaging-wise, very nice artwork on it. As you can see here, all 6 sides of the packaging is going to have artwork on it. No blank bottom bare cardboard here. So typically on the back side, you're going to see all the various paint schemes that are available on the kit. Boxes are a side opening box. Not my favorite. I actually prefer a 2-piece box, or top opening, something like that. But it's not uncommon to see for kits of that region to see the side opening like that. With their 1/72nd scale kits, which is primarily what I'm building, typically going to be 1 or 2 sprues in the kit. Like for instance, as far as your main plastic, this is the entirety of the Hurricane kit. Although your clear plastic, of course, going to be separate. On a lot of their kits too, especially the sub variants, you're going to see 3D printed resin pieces. In the past, these were typically marked on the box and just as part of the kit. I have noticed on some of the more recent builds that it's starting to become where they'll provide you the STL files to print it yourself on a resin printer, but the actual resin parts may not be included in the kit. You'll have to buy them separately as an upcharge, or print them yourself if you have them. One thing I'm going to notice here with the kits though, like I said, the parts are CAD designed, but the molding technology, you can tell, is a little bit older. So like on the sprues, you're going to see very thick sprues. I do occasionally see some flesh on them, not very much. Ejector pin marks are typically never an issue. Never really see any issues with sink marks or anything like that. So the molding quality is quite good, just the sprues themselves are a bit clunky. As far as your instructions are concerned, let me move these guys out of the way here. Instructions are going to be glossy. black and white line drawings with some color highlights to it. Like for instance here you have different color highlights are called out with just broad color notifications. Now one thing too, you're going to see it in the instructions as well. A lot of times as you get into subvariants of your kits, you're going to see a lot of modifications needed. Like for on the Sea Hurricane here, you have to actually remove the bottom, the bottom of the aircraft to install a new section here that has the tail hook. So I'm not really a fan of having to do those modifications like that, but at the same time, that's one of the things you deal with when you're dealing with companies that are a bit on the smaller side, trying to maximize what they offer with their molds. So it's one of those, it's not optimal, but I'm okay with it. And to be quite honest, compared to other companies that require those modifications, these guys are a lot more clear in what you're doing. They make a lot more sense, as opposed to like DML, a Dragon, where some of their utilization of sprues is just atrocious. Decal sheets are by TechMod. Usually printed on this darker blue, which is really cool for me to see because you get a better view where the decals are. You're going to have multiple options for your markings here, and typically you're also going to have a section of a lot of prominent stencils in there as well. And if you look closer on the decal sheet here, I'll give a close-up. I'm not actually a fan of their cockpit decals either, to be honest. The cockpits, it's molded nicely, but the way they have their gauge faces and stuff like that with the decals is a little... I'll be honest, I've put aftermarket cockpits in all the kits I've built with them. I've done a couple with Edward pre-painted photo etch, a couple with the Edward 3D printed resin full color. So it's one of those, like I said, if you're okay with painting everything and doing that, their cockpits are actually quite nice. Like I said, it's just the decals kind of let them down a little bit. And typically you're also gonna have seatbelt decals, which for the purpose of 1/72, they're actually perfectly usable, not an issue. I've used those as opposed to aftermarket on a few things. When you get to your color schematics, you're going to have full color callouts here, all four top, bottom, port, and starboard for all the options that are included in your markings. Like in this particular kit, you're going to have a pair of Royal Air Force and Royal Navy, and also one US marking set, which is a little unusual to see on a Hurricane, but like I said, they do the obscure stuff. Typically, if there is the potential of a Polish option in the color schemes, they're going to have one, being that that's of course the home team. And also, not to forget, they do offer, or actually pretty much always include, a set of pre-cut canopy masks, which is very nice, especially for something like a Hurricane with all those tiny, tiny little windows. We'll go a little closer in here on the detail on the sprues. Now, like I said, these are CAD designed, very well detailed. Pretty much modern. All your modern requirements are here. Recessed panel lines, no raised panel lines on anything. You're going to have a lot of molding inside your cockpit, inside your wheel wells. This one's a little different in that you actually have the rudder attached to the vertical stabilizer. Usually your rudder is separate. The vertical stabilizers are separate on this one. So typically your control surfaces are going to be posable. Another unusual piece for this particular kit. Typically, though, you're going to have a lot of extra parts on one of these kits. Like, for instance, the Aerocobra that I have, I think it came with 3 propellers, 2 noses, a whole bunch of additional parts. Now, the one thing that you are going to get let down a little bit, though, and it does drive me a bit crazy, is, like I said, the parts themselves are extremely well molded. The sprues, not so much. For instance, your attachment points onto the wings here, right on the leading edge, and big clunky boxes of attachment points. So there's a lot. You got to be really careful cleaning these up, really careful trimming them out. Be prepared to do a little bit of filler patchwork on your leading edges, trailing edges, and occasionally on other critical elements. As far as how the kits build, the first one that I did was the PZL7 here in 1/72. Didn't mean to drop it there. Very, very nicely. The way all the panel lining came out with just a basic wash. Very nicely done all across the kit. Now, I have not reviewed these for dimensional accuracy. I leave that up to other people, so I'll let that go to darker parts of the internet. As far as the build itself, these build very nice. I would actually, as far as building these, place these a bit better than Airfix. Not as quite as good on the engineering as a Tamiya kit. in that you are going to have occasional panel line issues, like for instance along the bottom of the fuselage here where you have that long joint on a very smooth area, or if you look at the Era Cobra, up under the nose here, a little bit of a seam line to clean up. Basically your big fuselage seams give a little bit of trouble. Although I will say that the wing joints actually went very well, did not need any filler or cleanup on those. So like I said, it's if you're familiar with other brands, I would definitely say these are more buildable than an Airfix kit, not quite as crisply engineered as a Tamiya kit. Really, though, I can't say enough good stuff about the Arma Hobbies kits here. I would definitely recommend picking up a couple if you're an experienced modeler. Now, as I mentioned in my intro, I am going to rate these for both newbie modelers, casual modelers, as well as more advanced or competition modelers. And this is one of those where I'm going to compliment the hell out of this kit and then surprise you with the rating. So if you're a casual modeler, a new modeler, I would actually give these a strong B rating as opposed to an A, just because, like I said, some of the parts, I have had some delicate parts that have some flash on to clean them up. There's a lot of, as can be the case, a lot of the parts are kind of small with big attachment points, so it's a little tricky there. Although I will compliment and say that unlike a lot of more recent Asian manufacturers, the level of complexity on their parts makes sense. You get a lot of detail without having to put too many parts together. Like for instance, if like say Meng was doing this kit, like you'd have some like parts here that it's single piece on this kit, they would have like 6 or 7. So very buildable in that regard. But like I said, it's just a case of where your attachments to the sprues, your panel lines, things like that can be a little difficult. And just because it is a finely detailed kit, it is a bit more unforgiving, although the plastic quality is very good, so there's no concerns there. If you are a more experienced model builder, I'm going to give these a solid A. I'm not going to bump them quite up into an S tier for this, but a solid A rating on these. For more experienced model builders, if you're a competition model builder, I really can't recommend these kits enough. They cover so much nice detail. They're so buildable. They got a great little, they don't have a huge breadth to their product line, but if they have a subject matter, they're going to have pretty much every version of it you can find. Really, that's honestly, I don't think I've ever planned out how I'm going to wrap up these reviews, so I'll come up with a little better on there. But yeah, like I said, Arma Hobbies out of Poland, one of my new favorites here. I'm going to be building a lot of these kits going forward. Highly recommend them. As far as for where to purchase these kits, I've been purchasing them directly from Arma Hobbies. You do have to be careful on their website. They do offer distribution for a lot of other kits, so just watch which ones you're buying to make sure you have the right kits there. They do offer them a lot of times in dual combos. Like for instance, they have like a Cactus Air Force package, which comes with a P-39 and a Wildcat, which is really cool packaging. And one thing I did forget to mention, which is as far as their instructions, on their paint callouts, they actually have quite a lot of brands on there. Because I forgot to read how I do this upside down. You have Tamiya, Vallejo, Humbrol, Ammo, Life Color, AK, and unique to these guys, they have Hataka paints on there, which is I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but a Polish manufacturer of paints. I actually picked up a lot of their paint sets as well. These are all done in the Hataka paints. They make nice, I recommend picking up their paints as well. I'm probably not going to be reviewing paint companies, so I wanted to give the compliments into there as well. Though I would definitely recommend picking up their paints. They have the red line for airbrush work and the blue line for brush work. So, anyways, Arma Hobbies out of Poland. Like I said, one of my new favorite manufacturers. Give them a very solid A rating for competition and experienced modelers. If you're newer to the hobby, you might want to wait until you get a little more experience under your belt. But seriously, for what these things are priced, these are very reasonably priced. If you're looking for any of the subject matter that they have, definitely give them a look. I would definitely, pretty much everything that they have, I would pick theirs over anybody else's at this point in time, with very few exceptions. Anyway, this is Model Reviews by Hans. I guess according to YouTube people, I'm supposed to tell you to like and subscribe and hit some notification button. Anyway, I don't know how any of that crap works, so I'm just repeating what everyone else says because that's what they do. And until next time, I will see you later.